Right now, at this very moment, your brain is physically incapable of letting you rest. And it's not a bug. It's a feature that's destroying you from the inside. You think you're anxious because life is stressful, but the truth is far more disturbing. Your nervous system has been hijacked by a mechanism that was designed to save your life, and now it's slowly killing you. Every single person watching this video is caught in the same invisible trap, and most will never know why they can't stop moving, thinking, or feeling like something terrible is about to happen. Let's start with something uncomfortable. Close your eyes for 10 seconds and try to do nothing. Just sit there. No thoughts, no plans, no mental replays of conversations. Just be. If you're like most people, you lasted maybe 3 seconds before your brain pulled you back into motion. A thought about work, a reminder about something you forgot, an itch you suddenly need to scratch. That's not weakness. That's not lack of discipline. That's your brain doing exactly what it was programmed to do, and it's destroying your ability to experience peace. Scientists call this psychomotor agitation, but that clinical term doesn't capture what it actually feels like. It feels like your skeleton is vibrating, like your thoughts are on a treadmill that won't stop. Like sitting still is physically painful, even though nothing is wrong with your body. You might tap your foot constantly, pick at your skin, check your phone every 45 seconds, rearrange objects on your desk for no reason. These aren't habits. They're symptoms of a brain that has forgotten how to be still. Here's what most people don't understand. Restlessness isn't caused by external stress. It's caused by your brain's prediction system going haywire. Deep in your skull, there's a network of structures that constantly scan for threats. The amygdala, the anterior cingulate cortex, the insula. Together, they form what neuroscientists call the salience network, a system that decides what deserves your attention. In a healthy brain, this network activates when there's real danger and quiets down when you're safe. But in modern humans, this system never turns off. It's stuck in a permanent state of high alert, constantly telling you that something is wrong, even when everything is fine. The mechanism is brutally simple. Your brain releases cortisol and adrenaline, stress hormones, whenever it detects a potential threat. In our ancestors, threats were obvious: a predator, a rival tribe, starvation. These were immediate physical dangers that required immediate physical responses. Fight or flee. Your stress response was meant to spike for minutes, maybe hours, then return to baseline. But in the modern world, threats are abstract and endless. An unanswered email, a difficult conversation you need to have, financial uncertainty, social comparison on Instagram. Your brain treats all of these the same way it treated a charging lion, as emergencies requiring immediate action. But here's the problem. You can't fight an email. You can't run away from your mortgage. So the stress hormones flood your system with nowhere to go. Your muscles tense, preparing for action that never comes. Your heart rate increases for danger that doesn't exist. Your thoughts race, scanning for solutions to problems that can't be solved in the next 5 minutes. This is the origin of chronic restlessness. Your body mobilizing for action while your life demands that you sit still. Now let's go deeper. There's another system at play here, one that's even more insidious. It's called the dopamine reward circuit, and it's the reason you can't stop checking your phone even when you desperately want to relax. Dopamine is not the pleasure chemical. That's a myth. Dopamine is the anticipation chemical. It surges not when you get a reward, but when you expect one might be coming. It's the neurological equivalent of a slot machine. Will this notification be important? Will this scroll reveal something interesting? Will this task finally make you feel accomplished? That uncertainty is intoxicating. It keeps you moving, seeking, hunting for the next hit of satisfaction that never quite arrives. The cruel irony is that chronic restlessness makes you less productive, not more. Studies show that people in a state of psychomotor agitation make worse decisions, have impaired memory, and struggle with creative problem solving. But your brain doesn't care about quality, it cares about motion. It mistakes activity for progress. So you keep moving, keep checking, keep doing, even though deep down, you know you're running on a treadmill going nowhere. Let me tell you what this looks like in real life. You wake up before your alarm, mind already racing with the day's tasks. You check your phone before you even get out of bed. Emails, messages, news. You're already behind, even though the day hasn't started. You rush through breakfast, barely tasting your food, mentally rehearsing conversations you need to have. At work, you can't focus on one thing for more than a few minutes before your attention jumps to something else. You have 12 browser tabs open. You're listening to a podcast while answering emails while thinking about lunch. When evening comes, you collapse on the couch, exhausted but wired. You scroll through social media, looking for something to make you feel better, but every post just reminds you of things you haven't done, places you haven't been, a life you're not living. You try to watch a show, but you're also on your phone. You try to read, but you can't remember what you just read because your mind is somewhere else. Finally, at midnight, you lie in bed, body exhausted but brain still running. You replay the day's conversations, you plan tomorrow's tasks, you worry about things that might never happen. Sleep, when it comes, is shallow and restless. This is not a personal failing. This is a design flaw in the human operating system when it encounters 21st century conditions. Your brain evolved for a world that no longer exists, a world with clear threats and clear safety, a world with natural rhythms of activity and rest, a world without infinite information, endless choices, and constant connectivity. You're running Paleolithic software on a digital age problem, and the result is a nervous system in permanent overdrive. But here's where it gets truly disturbing. Your brain adapts to restlessness. It actually changes its structure to accommodate chronic stress. Neuroscientists have documented this. The hippocampus, the part of your brain responsible for memory and emotional regulation, physically shrinks under chronic stress. The amygdala, your fear center, grows larger and more reactive. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for rational thinking and impulse control, weakens. In other words, chronic restlessness rewires your brain to be more anxious, more reactive, and less capable of calm. It's a vicious cycle. The more restless you are, the more your brain adapts to restlessness, making it harder to ever feel at peace. There's a philosophical dimension to this that most people miss. Restlessness isn't just a psychological problem, it's an existential one. The German philosopher Martin Heidegger wrote about something he called thrownness. The idea that we're thrown into existence without a manual, forced to constantly project ourselves into the future, always becoming, but never arriving. Restlessness is the emotional signature of this condition. It's the feeling of being incomplete, always on the way to something, but never quite there. Modern life has amplified this to an almost unbearable degree. We're not just thrown into existence, we're thrown into a world that constantly tells us we're not enough, not successful enough, not attractive enough, not productive enough, not happy enough. Social media has weaponized this. Every scroll is a reminder of lives you're not living. Every post is a carefully curated highlight reel designed to make you feel inadequate. Your brain interprets this as evidence that you're falling behind, that you need to do more, be more, achieve more. The restlessness intensifies. You refresh the feed, seeking relief, but every refresh just makes it worse. You're feeding the very system that's destroying you. The really frightening part is how normalized this has become. We celebrate restlessness. We glorify busyness. We wear exhaustion like a badge of honor. How many times have you heard someone brag about sleeping only 4 hours? About working 70-hour weeks? About never taking a vacation? We've created a culture that treats rest as laziness and stillness as failure. The person who meditates for 20 minutes is seen as indulgent. The person who works through lunch is seen as dedicated. We've inverted the logic of human well-being and called it success. But your body knows the truth. It's trying to tell you through chronic tension, through shallow breathing, through the knot in your stomach that never quite goes away. It's trying to tell you through insomnia, through irritability, through the vague sense that something is deeply wrong, even when everything looks fine on the surface. Your restlessness is not a character flaw. It's a distress signal from a nervous system that's been pushed beyond its evolutionary limits. Now, here's the part that changes everything. The way out of chronic restlessness is not through more productivity. It's not through better time management or more efficient routines. Those are just more strategies to keep you moving. The way out is through something that sounds impossibly simple, but is actually the hardest thing a modern person can do. Genuine rest. Not sleep, not entertainment, not scrolling. Rest. The kind of rest where you do nothing and expect nothing and allow yourself to exist without justification. Your brain will fight this with everything it has. The moment you sit down to rest, it will bombard you with thoughts, things you need to do, problems you need to solve, regrets about the past, worries about the future. It will make stillness feel physically intolerable. This is withdrawal. Your nervous system is addicted to stress hormones the same way a person can be addicted to stimulants. And, like any addiction, breaking it requires sitting with the discomfort of not getting what you crave. The neuroscience backs this up. When you practice genuine rest, meditation, quiet sitting, simply being without distraction, your brain begins to restructure itself. The hippocampus regrows. The amygdala calms down. The prefrontal cortex strengthens. But this doesn't happen overnight. It takes weeks, sometimes months, of consistent practice. Most people give up after a few days because the discomfort is too intense. They conclude that rest doesn't work for them. But the discomfort is the work. The restlessness you feel when you try to be still is not evidence that you're doing it wrong. It's evidence that you're doing it right. There's a deeper truth here about what it means to be human in this moment of history. We're living through something unprecedented. Never before has the human brain been subjected to this level of constant stimulation, this flood of information, this relentless demand for attention and productivity. We're the test subjects in an experiment we didn't consent to, and the results are clear. We're not okay. Depression, anxiety, and stress-related illnesses are skyrocketing, not because we're weaker than previous generations, but because the environment has become toxic to the human nervous system. Chronic restlessness is your body's way of telling you that something is fundamentally wrong with how we're living. It's a biological rebellion against a social system that treats humans as machines that should never stop producing. Your inability to rest is not your failure. It's the system's failure. But understanding this doesn't make it easier. Because you still have to live in this world. You still have bills to pay and responsibilities to meet. You can't opt out of the modern condition. So what do? You start small. You reclaim moments. 5 minutes in the morning where you sit with coffee and do nothing else. No phone, no planning, just coffee and silence. A walk at lunch where you don't listen to anything. No podcast, no music, just the sound of your footsteps and the world around you. 10 minutes before bed, where you lie down and focus only on your breathing. These feel like nothing. They feel like you're wasting time, but they're seeds. You're teaching your nervous system that it's safe to be still. That rest is not a luxury or an indulgence. It's a biological necessity. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, something shifts. The constant buzz in your chest starts to quiet down. The thoughts still come, but they have a little more space between them. You notice yourself actually tasting your food instead of eating mechanically. You catch moments of genuine presence, where you're not thinking about the past or planning the future, but actually existing in the now. These moments are brief at first, but they're profound, because for the first time in a long time, you remember what it feels like to just be. Not becoming, not achieving, not proving, just being. This is not a solution, this is a practice, because the forces that create chronic restlessness aren't going away. The demands won't lessen, the technology won't stop advancing, the culture won't suddenly value rest over productivity. But you can create a different relationship with your nervous system. You can learn to recognize when you're being hijacked by stress hormones and dopamine loops. You can build the capacity to choose stillness even when everything in you wants to keep moving. The question is not whether you're capable of rest. The question is whether you're willing to feel the discomfort of breaking an addiction that's been years in the making. Because that's what this is. Your brain has learned that restlessness feels normal and rest feels wrong. It will take time to rewire that. It will take consistency. It will take compassion for yourself when you fail, because you will fail. Over and over, you'll go days practicing stillness and then collapse back into the frenetic patterns. That's not failure, that's learning. Your chronic restlessness is not your enemy, it's your teacher. It's showing you exactly where you've lost yourself in the machine of modern life. It's marking the boundaries you need to defend. It's revealing the truth that the only real rebellion left is the refusal to keep moving, keep producing, keep achieving at the cost of your humanity. The system wants you restless. It profits from your inability to be satisfied. Every moment you spend anxious, scrolling, seeking the next thing is a moment you're not questioning whether this is how life is supposed to feel. So here's the uncomfortable truth we've been circling around this whole time. You're not going to fix your restlessness by finding the right productivity system, or the perfect morning routine, or the ideal work-life balance. Those are all just more sophisticated forms of restlessness dressed up as solutions. The only way through is to fundamentally question the premise that you need to be doing anything at all to justify your existence. That you need to be optimized and efficient and always improving. The way out is to remember that you're not a machine with a function. You're a conscious being having a temporary experience of life. And that experience is happening right now, in this moment, whether you notice it or not. Chronic restlessness is the price we pay for forgetting this. And the path back to peace is learning to remember it, one still moment at a time. Your brain won't let you rest because it's been trained not to. But you can train it differently. It just requires something our culture has taught us is impossible: the courage to do nothing. If this resonated with you, subscribe to this channel for more deep dives into the psychology behind what makes us human. Hit that like button if you found this valuable, and drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. I want to know where in the world people are struggling with the same invisible battle against their own nervous systems.